Hi, Dr. Mark here at Natural Health. Hope you're having a great day. We're going to start our patient education workshop tonight, and we have these, of course, every Monday at 6 o'clock. Tonight, we're actually this whole month of November, we're talking about diabetes. And so tonight, we're talking about brain fog and how it relates to diabetes. So a little background, again, a little history of me. I've been in practice now 37 years. Been doing chiropractic and nutrition the whole time. Working with Center Process Whole Food Nutrition. Went to Palmer College of Chiropractic, went to U of I pre-med. So that's kind of the school background. We've lived around Quincy our whole existence here. Raised 4 sons. They all played football, and so we dealt a lot with sports injuries and things like that. So a lot of experience there. Chiropractic really came in handy there, and the nutritional work. So we've been working with nutrition, like I said, for the whole 37 years, and coming into lately more information about nutrition and about diet, and we're trying to share that with people, especially with these patient education workshops and putting patient questions. As we talk tonight, if you have any questions out there, you can put those on the comment section, and we'll either answer them now or we'll answer them later if you come back. We'll also have this video on YouTube probably by tomorrow sometime, so you can come back and watch it again too. Tonight we'll have a handout. If you come to the office, you can get this handout, and we'll talk more about that later. I'll have some other handouts too. If you come to the actual meeting, we have quite a few handouts that we'll go over. But tonight, this handout is really on brain fog and what caused it, and how to get past it. There's a couple things. Brain fog, basically just where you're just not thinking very well, and sometimes we all have a little bit of brain fog that you just kind of forgot how to think, or it seems like you just can't remember different things like that. But some people get it so bad that they really don't know where they're at. I mean, it's dementia. It kind of goes into that lower or more extreme part of that, of brain fog, more extreme aspects of it. So just a quick thing I'm going to read here. One of the paragraphs in this handout says, what causes brain fog? And so brain fog can be caused by dysfunction of the body that inhibits the brain from receiving proper nutrition. So that's a big one, because again, we're talking a lot about nutrition here. It's not a lack of medication. It's not a lack of a surgery. It's a lack of proper nutrition. It can be associated with chronic inflammation, autoimmune disease, poor diet, heavy metal toxicity, fluoride accumulation, vitamin deficiencies, and other toxic accumulations, and more. So that is really the causes. So again, in our office at Natural Health, we're looking at the causes of problems. We're not treating the symptom. The symptom's important, but if you get rid of the cause, the symptom goes away. So all by itself. So some more things in this handout on brain fog. As with any disease, really a chronic disease or disturbance of the body, the road to the cure is the same. And again, this is the body healing itself. This cure we're talking about here is from the body. It's not an outward thing. It's the body has to take care of its own problems. But basically, exercise is important, just motion, being able to keep moving. So chiropractic, of course, is very important so people can keep moving. If they're having problems with joint dysfunction, different problems, spinal issues, pain, they can't move. So they want to get people moving. Really important there. Detox is so important. We do the next 3 things here: detox, eat right, and supplements. And that's all the nutritional work that we do. We work on figuring out what the body needs to detoxify itself, what problems are going on, what toxins are in what organs. For instance, mercury is a big one. And mercury can come from the fillings people have in their mouth. So, I mean, that sounds strange, but that's what it is. We deal with it all the time. A good 90% of the people that come in here have this problem if they have the mercury fillings. Other places to get mercury and aluminum, different things like that. Eat right. Well, that's the diet. That's your normal diet. So this goes right along with, if you want to look into the connection between this and diabetes. Diabetes, of course, is too much sugar. Well, most everything else is too. And so if you're eating too much sugar over the course of a long time, it wears out the insulin receptors. If you're not getting enough minerals, the insulin that you produce is not working correctly. And so the body has a big problem. The sugar in the bloodstream is wobbly. That's what is a big problem with the brain fog. Because sometimes if the sugar handling system is not working correctly, you get too much sugar in the brain or in the bloodstream, then it bottoms out, you get too little, go hypoglycemic. And all that fluctuation is part of this brain fog thing. So that goes right along with diabetes and heart disease and other things too. So real important to know about what you're supposed to be eating. And in our society, as we're going into the sugar season, I mean the holiday season now, it's just a matter that we have all these opportunities to eat all this refined sugar, and our society has grown with that over the last 20 to 50 years. And so that's why if you get on the CDC's website, you'll find that all the degenerative diseases are going up, up, up. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer, all these things are driven by diet. And then supplements. There's certain supplements people need, especially certain minerals. Magnesium is a really good example. People get low on magnesium, iodine. The B vitamins, especially important for brain function. So the people, a lot of times if they're eating refined carbs and things, they get really low on these vitamins and minerals, and then things don't work right. And of course, we're talking about brain fog. We're talking about brain here too. Also, another part of this is that the gut flora and the functions of the bacteria in the gut, the body's ability to digest things in the gut, are all hampered by a poor diet. So chronic use of sugars and things that inflame the gut tissue, causing the leaky gut, all kinds of problems with the bowel flora, constipation, diarrhea, all these things. Again, your gut is your second brain. Producing chemicals that the brain uses, so it's so important that all works together too. So we, as part of our normal operating procedure here at Natural Health, we're looking at the nutrition we need to detoxify the body, get the body the nutrients it needs, and then we also have energy coaching now too to help with getting rid of unneeded emotions, things that come up that are an aberrant emotion, aberrant thing. The chiropractic works, of course, helping to get the nervous system to work correctly. So a three-pronged approach here at Natural Health on getting rid of brain fog, preventing Alzheimer's, dementia, all these things that go along with degenerative disease there. And that's one of the supplements that I recommended here is the B complex. It's very important for the brain to work right. Let's see here. I think that's the main thing that goes along with this handout. Good. So I give you some good information on brain fog and how you can alleviate the body from that. Most people we find too that have brain fog, they get a little bit, and then like as years go on, it starts to get a little bit more, and they kind of get a little bit more. Again, they haven't fixed anything in their diet. Now, there are medications for that. But again, you take the medication, you have to fix the cause. So eventually, you're going to rob Peter to pay Paul. Medication will help for a while, but then it starts to fade. The effect starts to fade, and again, you haven't fixed anything. So and that's why people really end up sometimes into these more extreme versions of brain fog, dementia, and Alzheimer's, and things like that. So it's just all tied together there. So that gives us good information on that. We'll go into our regular discussion that we have here. And this ties right into this whole thing with the diabetes and brain fog and all these things that go along with the poor diet. We'll go over some of the handouts in our goodie bag. So if you come to one of our patient education workshops, we have a lot of room here, so people can come and just watch as we film this and go over the handouts we have. They'll get a copy of all these. So the first one we're going to go over is called Myths and Truths About Nutrition. So there's a lot of information out there. And you have to look at some of these pyramid schemes and different things going on out there, dealing with sales and stuff. Well, and that's great, but that's not really truth when we're looking at how the body uses nutrition and what the body actually needs. Some of these products are made by looking at the internet, going on an article, going, well, B12 is good for this. Let's make a product with B12. Well, yeah, but you have to be able to absorb it. It needs to come from a food source. There's all kinds of things that go along with it. So we'll give you some examples of this. So this is the truth. First one here, vegetarianism is healthy. That's the myth. The truth is the annual all-cause death rate of vegetarian men is slightly more than non-vegetarian men. and the all-cause death for the vegetarian women is significantly more than that of non-vegetarian women. Now, to keep this in perspective, if you're eating the regular standard American diet or SAD diet, potato chips and Pepsi and M&Ms and all that junk like that, and you change to a vegetarian diet, you're going to be a lot healthier. Vegetarian diet is really good on detoxing, and it is possible to be a successful vegetarian if you know what you're doing with getting the proteins and things you eat, but most people don't know what they're doing with it. And so after a couple of years of detoxing, which is what it takes to really detoxify the body if you're not adding more toxins in, then they start to have problems with deficiencies in amino acids and fatty acids, which really come from meat sources. What you're doing and know what foods to get there, and most people don't do that. So that's why we see this problem in this stat. Also, too, with men, women having more problem than men, women need more oils and fats for the hormones that they produce from these sources. So it's really important for women to get good sources of oils and fats, and most of those come from meats and things like that, which vegetarians won't get unless they know what they're doing. But again, even those times, some of those are not as much as their body would like. People can get by being vegetarian, but to be optimum health, there really is needs of more than that. Another myth here: to avoid heart disease, we should use margarine instead of butter. And of course, the truth is that margarine eaters have twice the rate of heart disease as butter eaters. So the deal is margarine is just 2 chemical steps away from plastic. It's never meant to put in the body, never meant to be a food that you eat. And butter, of course, is nothing ever been wrong with butter. Yes, it has cholesterol in it, but cholesterol is not the problem. And this whole cholesterol myth has been blown apart. There's lots of information. If you want information, that you can always give us a call or put a comment on the Facebook thing there. We can send you information about that. The cholesterol is not the culprit. It's there as a problem, but it's because of the sugar, all the sugar that's being eaten, especially fructose, the high insulin numbers because of insulin resistance, and that's really the culprit behind the whole thing. So the margarine really has no particular need. It's not even a food, and so people that are eating butter, especially if they need the oils, are a lot healthier. The last one here: beef causes colon cancer. The truth is, Argentina with higher beef consumption has lower rates of colon cancer than U.S. Mormons, who have a lower rate of colon cancer than the vegetarian Seventh-day Adventists. And again, it's not the meat that's the problem; it's the digestive system, it's the person. And so as we age, get past 35, 40, we start to lose the ability to digest as well. We need help sometimes with getting the stomach to have the correct acid, hydrochloric acid that's supposed to produce. So if you're not digesting meats correctly and you eat a lot, well, then it doesn't digest in there, and that can cause problems. But just of digestion, not the meat itself. So it's not the meat. It's never been the meat. I mean, human beings have eaten meat for forever, and so it's not the meat. But they've never eaten refined sugar for only the last 100 years. That's a point people don't think about, that sugar has not really been processed like it is only until lately. Our health, what exactly is the problem? So this is written by Dr. Royal League. I like to read the first couple of paragraphs here. We've drifted into this deplorable position of national malnutrition quite inadvertently. It is a result of scientific research with the objective of finding the best ways to create foods that are non-perishable, that can be made by mass production methods in central factories and distributed so cheaply that they can sweep all local competition from the market. Then, after they developed suspicion that these quote-unquote foods are inadequate to support life, modern advertising steps propaganda as if there's nothing wrong with them, that they are the products of scientific research intended to produce a food that is the last producer of value, and the confused public is totally unable to arrive at any conclusion of fact and continues to blindly buy the rubbish that is killing them off years ahead of time. Written by Dr. Worley back in the 1940s, so that's already 80 years ago. So this is before Dunkin' Donuts, before the fast food chains, the burger joints, and all this kind of stuff. So this is before it really has begotten a problem. And in his day, when he was looking at this, he was actually an engineer who became a dentist to help with tooth caries and things that the kids were having. This is before all the degenerative diseases really of now. And they were starting back then, but now it's just gotten rampant. And again, all these numbers are way up. So Dr. Roll-E, though, is also the inventor of all the standard process, or most of all the standard process nutrition, whole food supplements that we sell at the office here. And so we need to get back to eating really whole food with all the minerals and vitamins in them that a lot of foods that are grown now don't have. So we'll go through our high-tech presentation board here, and you can see the little triangle, kind of a microcosm of the human body. The three corners of the triangle are nutritional deficiency, organ dysfunction, and then disease. We're talking about any type of degenerative disease. So for instance, today we're talking about diabetes, which is a degenerative disease of the sugar handling system of the body. Brain fog, Alzheimer's dementia would be a degenerative disease of the brain and that function. Diabetes, again, cardiovascular disease, a degenerative disease of the cardiovascular system. So again, any type of degenerative disease. So, and this becomes a big negative spiral because when we have nutritional deficiency, we have organ dysfunction, we have these diseases, we just keep eating more of the same junk, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So we want to try to break this habit, and of course we do that by working on the nutritional deficiency side. So one of our handouts, if you come to the meeting, is a little sugar quiz that we have that gives us an idea of how the patients are doing here. So on sugar and eating sugar. And a lot of them are really surprised on how that works out. One of the big points they point out here is that sugar is as addictive as alcohol. I mean, even in cocaine, finding 5 times more addictive than cocaine. So sugar becomes, it acts like a refined sugar, acts as a drug in the system, and it's hard to get off of. And we help people with that all the time. That's one of our reasons for doing our diet diaries. We help people slowly get off of that, and by feeding their body minerals, we can help them to get off of the sugar cravings and the things they have going on there. The next little page, too, is it's the 146 Reasons Why Sugar is Ruining Your Health by Nancy Appleton, PhD. And this basically is just a list of all the degenerative diseases that people have problems with. And the sugar is the cause. It's the cause behind it. So if we take this off and just put sugar up here, it works the same way. Again, we have the nutritional deficiencies, organ dysfunction. We keep craving sugar because we're craving the minerals that in nature, when you have fruit or something in the past that had minerals in there, that you would crave it, and that's how you would get your minerals. But nowadays, we're eating refined sugar, which doesn't have any minerals in it, just the energy to drive the body, but no backup nutrition. So that's why the body ages. And the degenerative disease is just basically an aging of the body. So we want to, know how this works. So we can do this by helping people get off of the sugar, work on the nutritional deficiency side, and heal up the organs. And there's a specific way that we do that here at Natural Health. Good. So there's 61 different names and counting for sugar. Sugar is many disguises is one of the handouts we have. So there's a lot of different names. And if you look, you can Google this, go online, or DuckDuckGo, it's even a better one, search engine. But you can go online, look up the 61 different names for sugar. And if you go to the store in the processed foods, if you look on the label, sometimes there's 3, 4, 5 of these names on the package. So it's just important to try to remember as many of these as possible when you're shopping. The 3 tastes for health, the 3 tastes handout. The body has a taste for sugar, salt, and fats, and your manufacturers have figured out how to use that against us. So if you're selling us something that's low fat, well, it doesn't have much taste. You have to really pop up the sugar and salt. If it's a low salt, then you have to really pop up the sugar. If you don't have sugar and salt, you have to have a lot of fat. So that they know how to use that against us and actually create foods that are addictive on purpose to get us to buy more food. I mean, it's just a marketing thing, and that's all they care about is making money. They don't care about your health. You have to be concerned about your health, and we are too. That's why we're here. So happy to help there. Also, there's a really good video on YouTube called, if you go to YouTube and put in the search engine, is sugar toxic? That's the name of a 60 Minutes article. It's a little older now, but it's got all the information we're talking about here from PhDs, medical doctors, different things. All this information is known. It's just not acted upon because of the monetary interest there.
You're putting a head start.
The Dr. Robert Lustig, the guy who they interview on this article, he it goes into this in minute detail. He's done a lot of research into sugar, and he has a great YouTube video channel that you can look through a lot more of his videos on too. So what we do in the Office of Natural Health on the nutritional side to help with these problems is using a technique called nutrition response testing. Nutrition response testing is a real-time way of analyzing the body and figuring out what nutritional needs a person needs, nutritional needs a person has, to get rid of the symptoms by figuring out the underlying causes of what's going on in there. So nutrition response testing is a great way that we do, great technique we use on our patients. We can do these every time patients come in, and it's used using an arm strength test on the patient to figure out what's going on in there. So we've been here for a long time, so we've been through blood test, urine analysis, hair analysis, salivary testing, and those tests are great for certain things, but they're not really good for checking a patient every time they come in. I mean, blood tests are hugely expensive, and who wants to go through all the blood sticks and everything else? But nutrition response testing using the arm strength test, we can figure out what that patient needs right away, and then every time they come in, it's really easy to do. So I'm going to have my son, Dr. Chip, come up. He does a lot of the chiropractic work here at the office, and we're going to kind of demonstrate how this works. So we're going to bring the arm out. So normally, when we test a patient, they have a strong arm, and with the arm moves stronger, you can relax the arm. And this arm strength testing works on the principle of hypothermia. It's not voodoo, it's not magic, it's just on this principle of hypothermia, and it's real simple. So if you go out ice skating during the wintertime and you fall in, you get back out, you're headed back to the house to try to keep from freezing to death. And the idea there is the body will want to save the core. It will sacrifice the appendages, the fingers and toes, that's what frostbite is, by sacrificing that to keep the core alive. It wants to keep the brain alive, the heart, all the organs alive. So how this works is we have a strong arm, and say for instance the heart is having some problems. So if I irritate the area over the heart and the arm goes unlocked or goes weak, then we know then that heart has some weakness there. And so we can find nutrition that we have. We know this one called cardioplasmin center process, great nutrition. And we're working on the energies here, the energies of these foods, interacting with the body's energy. This is the same kind of energy that you feel when the sun comes through the window, or the same kind of energy that is used for what we do in MRI, EKG, ECG, all these different things that the medical people use. We're just using the same energy. So when I put the energy of nutrition on the body and I test that heart area again, if the arm goes strong, then we know that this nutrition will help that problem. That's how we figure it out. And it becomes more complicated in a whole body scan. But today it's just that simple, though, just how that works with hypothermia theory and the nutritional approach to that. Good job. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, great. So when we go through our nutrition response testing, then we come up with a protocol that is a designed clinical nutrition approach for that patient. And design means that it's just for that patient. Everybody has their own needs. Everybody has their own genetic makeup, their own lifestyle, their own history, what's going on, all those kind of things. So we design these programs just for that person. It's clinical, meaning that it's all we care about the nutrition is that it works. And then we have ways of monitoring that patient over time to make sure that the nutrition works. So yes, you can go online and there's all kinds of things. You should buy this, you should buy that, and you try it. Pretty soon, you've got a whole closet full of vitamin pills, and none of it's worked. And why is that? Well, it's because you weren't tested. So the big point is here, come get tested. We can find out what you actually need. Again, we're focusing not only on the nutrition itself, but detox, on the diet, on the barriers that keep the products from working, all these kind of things. And in nutrition, we're using a whole food nutrition. We're just using food. These are whole food nutritional supplements. They're not vitamin pills. They're not synthetic vitamins. They're not isolated fractions. They're not isolated vitamins. So not like we're doing vitamin C, which is sold as ascorbic acid. And that's not the vitamin C complex anyway. But the deal is we're using whole foods to heal the body as it was intended there. So a couple more of the goodie bag handouts we have. What patients are saying, these are some testimonials from patients we've had, some really good stories to read through. Another explanation of nutrition response testing, a little more detail there that you can read through. We have some medical tests here. This is a spleen test where the patient had splenomegaly, where the spleen was enlarged. Using nutritional support and diet, we got the spleen back to normal. Then this is a handout on vitamin D levels that we brought up, and we did give them vitamin D. We just changed their diet, had them eat well, and got them to digest, got the toxins out, and the vitamin D level came up all by itself. Because vitamin D is an oil-soluble vitamin, so the liver and gallbladder has to be working correctly for your body to be able to absorb vitamin D in the correct whole food nutritional form. The hemoglobin A1C, talking about diabetes, went from an 8.0 to a 6.6. Again, we weren't down to the 5.7 we want, but we're getting there. So again, really good information there. And if you come to one of our classes, we have the public education workshop screening form that we have the attendees fill out, and then we will, since you're spending your time with us, we can give you a quick free initial screening and find out what kind of problems you may have and see if you are a nutrition patient. Because if you're not a nutrition patient, when we do our screening, there's not much we can do for you. But if you are a nutrition patient, there's really not much else that can be done. I mean, you need to have a nutrition to get well. Again, you can use medications to get by, but we're talking about being well. We're talking about being optimal. We're talking about living well and having energy and being able to enjoy your life and grandkids and whatever else you got going on in there. So we'll go to our next high-tech presentation board. And one of the things we're looking at here is really the overall health of the body. Now, patients come in, and we have them fill out some forms to look at what is their 5 major symptoms. And the symptom survey is going to get all the symptoms listed. And we care about symptoms, but that's not the big thing. We want to look at the body getting it towards an overall healthy condition. And if the body is healthy, then you don't have symptoms, believe it or not. And many people come into our office with a symptom survey score of 200, which is a huge score, and we can get them down to 0, no symptoms, which seems impossible, but we do it all the time. And then what we're doing, of course, is safe and natural. No drugs here, no surgery. So it's important to realize that you can do that, and you can use whole food, which are safe, and it's just natural food. So it's the worst thing that can happen with what we do is nothing, but that never happens. Everybody gets well or gets better depending on what their commitment level is there, because it takes some time, it takes some work to really change the diet and to learn why the diet is so important there. So a few last handouts here. There's a book list that we have that you can get a hold of for more information. A websites list, a lot of good websites. The WestonPrice.org website is really good for organic growing and eating information there. So there's some videos. These are all on YouTube or on Netflix. They're free with a lot of things you can look through. There's one here, Mercury Undercover, looking at mercury amalgams and things like that. All kinds of things going on there. The New Childhood in America. Everybody knows that the children have a problem with weight, the learning disability issues, the ADHD, the autism problems are just all going up, and it's because of the diet and lifestyles and again, heavy metal toxicity and things that we can talk about there. Since I am chiropractically trained, we look at the spine, and the spine is just a bony encasement for the nervous system. It just has issues that we help with, but the idea is to get the nervous system to be able to get information and energy from the brain through the spinal cord into the spinal nerves into the organs so the body can be healthy. And we're talking about getting energy from above, down, inside, out, and the spine is just a way for us to access that. So, and people have a lot of problems with spinal problems, again, because of all the lifestyle things you do, riding in cars and working at desks all day and computers, things like that. So that can cause a little problem. And then this one happens to talk about the spinal levels, the innervation of the certain organs, and then what nutrition organ. So that's a good little list there too. Our basic diet recommendations, again, a list of some more good books, Protein Power by Dan and Mary Eads. There's different other books out there that go over this information. Our basic diet recommendations really are getting away from refined flour and sugar. You probably figured that out already. We watch the food combine. We're trying to keep our proteins and fats away from starches and carbs in the same meal. A lot of reasons for that, which we can talk about later. And then our basic diet plan is proteins in the morning, salads for lunch, protein and vegetable for evening. That's how we start patients off. We don't worry about cups of this and certain calories and all that kind of thing. We just work on getting the body real food and food the body needs and getting away from the carbs and starches because there are no essential carbs. There's essential fatty acids, there's essential amino acids, there's essential minerals and vitamins, but no essential carbs. So we try to get people off as much of those as we can, especially refined ones. And then the last sentence here, I like to read this, but many of our eating habits have been trained into us for generations. For instance, Grandma was a good baker, Mom's a great baker, so every Christmas we eat 10 pounds of fudge, somehow catch the flu in January, and have a history of diabetes and heart disease in our family. So that's looking at the genetic side, and it's really what we're seeing is the genes are just a blueprint. It's the science of epigenetics, our diet and lifestyle, that these cells are responding to that elicit the gene effect. So this is a good example where if you're building a house and you have a set of blueprints and you start with good boards, good nails, good shingles, and you use the same blueprints, you're going to have a good house that will last a long time and handles the wind and all that kind of thing. But if you start with the timbers that are got knot holes and crooked and splits, and you've got nails that are bent and rusty, and you've got shingles with holes in them using the same blueprint, well, you're going to have a house that's going to not last very long, the roof's going to leak, all that kind of stuff. So that's the thing with genetics. The genes are a blueprint, but they're not the only reason that things work. I believe really any of the reason. They have really no control on how they work. It's the diet and lifestyle. It's the science of epigenetics that looks at what turns a gene on and off. So that takes the ability for you to have some control over your health from just saying, well, it's just genetic, I can't do anything about it, to you can do a lot about diet and lifestyle that looks at what genes are expressed. So again, we help patients with that all the time. We have people bringing in 23andMe reports and different things, again, which shows us the genes, but again, there's ways of helping to look at what genes will turn on and off. We do quite a bit of work with that. So that is all the handouts there. I think we've went over all of our information on the high-tech presentation boards. Again, if you have any questions, you can always put those in the comment sections. I'll try to get back to you about that. Or just give us a call here at the Natural Health, 217-228-2040. We have a website, naturalhealthquincy.com. You can come to that, and you can, again, mail us in, stop by, say hi. If you would please, if you liked our presentation tonight, give us a thumbs up. You can always like the office and stay on track with us. And you can follow our YouTube video channel. And then we're also on brighteon.com too, brighteon.com. You can follow us on there too. So glad you could watch us tonight. Again, if you ever come into the office and just use the word Clover, we'll give you the opportunity also to have one of these free initial screenings, because you're taking the time to go look at the video here. And so we want to do that. And again, thanks so much for your attention. Have a great evening, and thanks. We'll see you next Monday.